Dany and Jon's relationship has been an interesting series of interactions in Season 7, with tense confrontations and uncertainty. The two also have a different connection towards each other, and I'm not talking about their family association. The two can find themselves in a romantic relationship fairly soon, even if we don't want it. Let's discuss some theories and expectations I have conjured up that might conclude Dany and Jon's storyline this season. I am the Old Tin Man, and if you are new to these analysis videos, subscribe for more Game of Thrones content. Thank you everyone for watching. Let's start off by explaining the connection between Jon and Daenerys to make things a little more clear for this video. At the end of Bran's storyline in Season 6, we see a flashback to the end of Robert's rebellion, where we find Eddard Stark arriving at the Tower of Joy to rescue his sister Lyanna from Rhaegar Targaryen's imprisonment. The flashback showed Lyanna's last moments before her death, where she asked Ned to promise to take care of her baby and not let Robert find out. Although it wasn't clear cut, but this scene shows how Lyanna gave birth to Jon and wanted Eddard to protect the baby and raise him like he would his own. If Lyanna was raped or willing, Jon is Rhaegar's son, and if found out by the wrong people, like Robert Baratheon, Jon would have been killed. Thankfully, HBO released an infographic of the family tree that proves Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen are in fact Jon's parents. Rhaegar is Daenerys and Viserys' older brother, which shows that Jon is Daenerys' nephew. The only person that knows about this is Bran, as he can see everything now, but unfortunately he has become a complete creepo. Now that Bran has become Professor X, with the power of being awkward, he seems to be keeping a lot from his family, and from the looks of it, he plans on keeping this information to himself for a little longer. I have stated in my previous Game of Thrones video that there is a heavy theme of recollection in this season, but it might be more important than I originally thought. We have seen numerous scenes that refer back to moments from past seasons, in which we are going back to the root of the series. We have either seen characters rejoin one another, or we see similar occurrences we have seen once before. For example, in episode 4 of this season, we see Arya returning to Winterfell, in which she is stopped by the guards and demands entry or else. This isn't the first time she had to gain entry by persuading the guards of her real identity. In Season 1, Episode 5, Arya was mistaken as a beggar by King's Landing guards while she was trying to re-enter the Red Keep. We have also heard quotes from characters in this season that has been perceived from characters in the past. You can find more examples of this theme in my first impressions video, which I'll put in the card above. This theme is very important because there hasn't been a season before this one that references so much in so little time. Most of these references mainly refer back to the very first season in particular. I believe the show is foreshadowing a more devastating reference from the past, such as a major death. I'll go into deeper detail on this later in the video. In episode 4, we are presented with attractive behavior between Jon and Dany. The two have become rather fond of one another, although they haven't uttered their feelings to the audience nor to each other. This romantic behavior is hinted through emotional appearance. The more Jon and Dany get to know each other, the more they understand each other's goals, as they have very similar perspectives of leadership. Unfortunately, the Targaryen family is frowned upon by most of the people of Westeros, due to the Mad King's actions in the past. A permanent alliance with an outsider's house, such as the Targaryens, is considered treason to the majority of the houses. It comes into perspective when Dany advises Jon that bending the knee is more important for his people rather than pride, an angle that Jon wants to use on Mance Rayder to save the wildlings. Soon after, Dany asked for Jon's input and how he would further progress if he was in her state, which shows how Dany's trust and judgment has grown for Jon. Jon is put in a difficult situation, and from this moment it seems that he is looking past what is permissible and instead going for what is right, a common trait of Jon. Allowing Dany to be Queen of the Seven Kingdoms is a huge leap. It's not like bringing in wildlings past the wall. Jon is expecting his people to approve the Mad King's daughter as the new queen. Not only is Jon slowly understanding an outsider's ambition, but he might be falling for Dany. A familiar love story has been told in this series before. Jon joined the wildling force in hopes for his own benefit, only to comprehend their lifestyle and fall in love with Ygritte. It's not Jon's intentions to fall in love with a Targaryen, like it wasn't his intention to fall in love with a wildling, but it happened. Dany and Jon's attraction is similar to the forbidden love that the notable Romeo and Juliet once possessed. Although the two are in a neutral alliance rather than opposing sides, the idea of them together is alarming to Jon's bannermen for obvious reasons, and to us the audience, due to our knowledge of their family connection. their relationship could possibly be hazardous. Now let's go back to the powerful theme this season, Recollection. We have seen indications to minor details one after another, as if we are experiencing deja vu. We have seen indications to minor details from the past. Before we know it, these reoccurrences could get heavier further down the line. Just like Ygritte before, Dany might find the same demise, perhaps before the 7th season finale. If we see Jon fall for Dany, which seems to be inevitable at this point, in time he could be holding Dany's dead body, in slow motion. Daenerys would be the most unexpected death this season, just like Eddard's departure in the 1st season. She has become one of the most powerful players in this Game of Thrones, and her power might be her downfall. Could she fall in the same fate as her father and lose herself? Perhaps Jaime the Kingslayer will be the one that kills her. Maybe Jorah will become jealous of Dany and Jon's attraction, which could lead to a lover's quarrel, and perhaps an accidental attack on Dany. Taking this idea a little further, Jon and Dany's relationship could resemble Drogo and Dany's in the 1st season. You might think that Jon would resemble Drogo and Dany as herself, obviously, but instead let's switch the roles. Dany would resemble Drogo's established army and power. Let's remember Dany now has an army of Dothraki. Jon would resemble Dany from season 1, as they both have an innocent factor and newly gained responsibility. Jon only recently earned the title of King of the North, while Dany was also establishing herself in her position in season 1. Dany called upon Jon for her benefit in her fight against Cersei, just like Drogo first used Dany for his own personal benefit. Slowly, Drogo and Dany gained each other's trust and fought for each other, which looks to be unraveling with Dany and Jon's relationship. Let's say Dany and Jon's connection is referring back to the roots of Daenerys. The Song of Ice and Fire might refer to Dany and Jon's unborn child. As Dany resembles fire and Jon ice, a baby would connect the two even further and might end their story. Dany's last pregnancy was a tragedy and put her baby and Drogo into their graves. With Dany taking the place of Dothraki leader Drogo, she could find the same outcome. Jon could find himself in a new position and in control of Dany's remaining army, although it seems fairly unrealistic to have a baby in just a few episodes. But if this were the case, this particular event might be delayed until the last few episodes of the series. Game of Thrones Season 7 has been hands down my favorite season so far, with each episode having such great development with its plots and characters. Dany and Jon's romantic relationship definitely places red flags for so many reasons. But what exactly do you guys think will happen to the duo? Do you think Jon or Dany will find their demise because of this relationship? I appreciate everyone for watching this analysis. If you want to join our community and see future analysis content on Game of Thrones and many other shows, click the subscribe rectangle below the video. What do you want to see me analyze next? Thank you again, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.